Hey friends, for this video, I'm going to add a lot of pink and fun layers to this French Provincial dresser behind me. I'm going to show you all the magic that I put into this project, the layers, the colors, the techniques. So stick around, let's enjoy having some fun painting this project. I cleaned this piece with white lightning and then applied a good coat of Dixie Belle's Gray Boss. I should be all set now for the base coat that I'm going to be doing next. Notice the brushes I'm going to be using are the Dixie Belle Big Daddy and then also the premium chip brush. I have what's called a butcher pan, and this is going to allow me to put multiple colors down and then mix them together very free, very fluid, and very wet. So you can see the four colors going across the screen of what I used on this step. I'm going to use a large misting bottle to get everything extra wet. I'll even pour a little bit of extra water into the pan because I want to be loose and I want to work quickly. I even mist the project down really well, one side or one area at a time. I misted the brush, just again, very wet. Now, again, the butcher pan allows me to move quickly. It also allows me to mix two different colors together or all four if I want. There is really no strategic plan here other than I'd like to keep the lower part of the project darker than the upper area of the project. So that's kind of my goal. Other than that, get the color down, work large, work quickly, and I'll be using my brush to mix the colors. I'll be using a large squirt bottle to keep the project wet and just overall moving quickly. This is a very fun process because really you're getting unexpected results, and it's going to keep it random, but it's going to keep it just very intriguing and desirable to look at and really wonder how in the world did they accomplish that. That's the goal here. So I'll start working in the lighter colors towards the middle and the top. This will allow for the bottom of the project to be a little darker. Back and forth, up and down, whatever motion you'd like to use. As you're moving that brush around, you are mixing colors, so keep that in mind. Using the misting bottle, I am adding more water so that it stays nice and light and smooth, so I can continue to move that paint around. Here and there you will see some of the gray boss shining through. That's perfectly fine. I do have one more painting step that I'll be doing over the top section of the project, so some of that boss will go away, but I really do embrace that gray boss being part of the overall color palette. Moving over to the front of the project now, I'm going to continue the same process. I've got the same four colors, so I just need to keep moving. Use the misting bottle, definitely to keep things wet. But notice how I'm going over to the original section and I'm misting it because I want to keep that wet to allow some dripping to happen. And I'm going to go back here in a little bit with a wet rag and I'll dab, which is going to help also allow and add a little bit of texture to the project as well. So keep an eye on the misting bottle, my rag, and how I apply paint. As I'm finishing up with that section, I need to go back and paint the top of each drawer. So I'll use a screw, pull the drawer out, and get that done, because I don't want to have a different shade of color, if you will. So they should fairly match that section. So go ahead and do that while you're working. Notice I'm still using the Big Daddy, didn't switch to a smaller brush yet, and this is working out really well. The drawers came in and out so smooth. Loved how this piece worked out in that direction. And notice on this finished section that the top section is lighter than the bottom. And that just because I've used those 4 colors really well from top to bottom and worked that out. Alright, now it's time to add a little bit of texture. I'm going to use a wet rag to do that. Basically, you're lifting the paint off, and you'll see that there is more gray showing through, and that's the gray boss again. And that's okay. I want a unusual, unpredictable finish. So just lifting a little bit of that paint off makes that varied look. I'm going to go back to the first section because I had sprayed it with water. It should still be a little bit wet, and I'll do a little bit of dabbing there. Some of this dabbing is to get rid of runs. Keep them if you want them, but I'm just controlling it and adding some variety as well. Even where I pulled the dresser around, I left a good bit of boss there, but I'm going to come back with more paint again here in a little bit. Come back with a misting bottle. At this point, I'm almost squirting drops of water because again, that's going to add texture too. I encourage you to experiment. No misting, no wet rag, or heavy on one, light on the other, whatever works for you. But the general idea you're going to end up with is very, very much a varied texture appearance on this project. I think it's going to come across looking great. Alright, so we're all finished with the first phase of paint. Those first 4 colors are done. Now I'm going to use 3 more, and those are going to show up again across the screen, and you'll know exactly what colors I used. These are the lighter versions of the pinks, if you will, that I wanted to use. And here I'm going with lighter at the top, keeping the darker colors down below. So you're probably going to see that I'm not going all the way down with these colors. If I did, I would be wiping out the dark part of the dresser. I didn't really want that. So focus on the top. I'll be using the rag almost as an eraser to remove how far the color went down. So keep an eye on, again, the rag and the misting, because those really play a role in how this finish comes together. One of the things you'll notice while I am doing this process with the rag is that I really should have gotten a new rag that was fresher. This one had collected so much paint into it that it wasn't lifting as much paint off that I wanted to. So you can kind of see me moving the rag around to kind of get a fresher section. But I will suggest that maybe have one or two different rags around, or go get a new one between those steps. That would probably help a lot. All right, that section's done. Hope you noticed how many times I went back with the Big Daddy brush and applied paint, misted it, used the rag to wipe off. Those are all different parts of the step that really create that wonderful layered look. Now what you see me doing is I have a premium chip brush and I went to the tray of paint just in a dry section and even used my rag to unload some of the paint onto a rag, so I have very little paint in my brush. And basically I'm just hitting the high points of the dresser. This adds texture and almost gives it a weathered feel, and I'm hitting key areas that I feel need that highlight. I'm just probably using like the pink champagne color and just mainly only that one. Just hitting all the high points, all the way down to the bottom of the dresser. I'm not hitting all of the dresser with this, but just some of the key elements. Let that little bit of paint drag across, showing off some of the texture of the paintbrush strokes from before. This again is optional, but this just helps complete the overall look of the piece, and I think it really accents those wavy sections of the French Provincial look. Once I was done with the pink champagne color, I like to put a touch of complement color. Since this is mostly a red piece, I came in with green. and sea glass has that almost mint look. And I just wanted a little bit of surprise of a highlight. It's got about the same value as pink champagne, but it's just a different color. And every once in a while it's going to catch the eye and just add a little bit of a surprise tone. The fun part about this project is that you can use your brush or your finger or any other object you want to use to add some texture or remove some of those heavy brush strokes that might accidentally happen. So you see me reaching up and adjusting all the time. Just have those tools ready. You just never know. You might be putting up too much paint or not enough. In this case, usually I'm putting too much paint on and I want to dab it off or wipe it around. So use what you got. One thing I did after I was done painting is I used Dixie Belle's gold gilding wax and highlighted the flourishes and decorative elements on this dresser. For the top of the dresser, I used Dixie Belle's colonial black stain for the flat section, and then I also used coffee bean for the lip of the top of the dresser. That was a great finish to help the top look great. For the hardware, I used Plum Crazy on the actual hardware to bring out some of those pink tones. And wow, it sure made a stunning impact to the overall finished look of this piece. A little satin top coat and we're all set. It's looking wonderful.